Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter, or of course, you can subscribe to the channel. Let's talk boxing. We're going to talk about Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis today. Before we get into that, let me just say I did upload another video yesterday. Thank you to all those that have taken part and left comments down below. For those of you that have yet to see it, please check it out. We're discussing an important topic in the sport of boxing, and that is rehydration clauses and whether they should be banned or whether they're a necessity. We talk about the pros and cons because this comes amidst the news that the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. fight, as well as the Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman Jr. fight, are at risk of not taking part because of a demand of a rehydration clause. So let me know what your opinions are on that. I will be uploading a lot more content this week. I have had a bit of a busy period and I wasn't quite as active on YouTube. Things are calming down a little bit for me now. So over the coming week, I'm going to be trying uploading a new video every day, really, because there's so many things I want to discuss. Usyk and Joshua and an issue with Kambosos and a whole bunch of different stuff that I want us to talk about. Well, today, let's talk about Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis and the question of Ryan really starting to up the pressure now. He's starting to turn the screw. Every opportunity he's getting, he's calling out Tank Davis. Today, he was on the ESPY Awards. For those of you that are in the UK and might not be aware, it's Excellence in Sports Performance Yearly Award. I guess it's kind of similar to our BBC Sports Personality of the Year Award. And he was given some sort of award out, and somebody asked him about Tank Davis. And while he's on stage, he said, "I'm going to slap him, easy work." So now he's starting to use multiple platforms, even away from the sport, to start turning the screw on Tank Davis. He has been saying how this is personal. And this is in reference, he said, to something that Tank Davis said about Ryan Garcia a number of years ago on Twitter. He said basically that he didn't come out, how can I put this without triggering any algorithms? He didn't come out, let's just say, 100% healthy because his parents are cousins, right? Now, that obviously rubbed Ryan Garcia up the wrong way. And he says that it's personal and that he wants Gervonta Davis to come and get that arse whooping. It's interesting because I was also listening to Steve Kim and Mario Lopez on their regular podcast, which is fantastic, by the way. If you've not seen it, you should check it out. They were saying, Mario Lopez was saying how he saw Oscar De La Hoya at the weekend. And he asked Oscar, what's going on with this? Is this for real? Is this just sort of pressure that you're putting on, or do you really want to make the fight? And Oscar De La Hoya is saying, no, listen, I'm trying. I really want to make the fight. Worst case scenario, if Ryan Garcia loses, he gets humbled. And if not, we believe that he can win. So he seems to be pushing it. Now, there was a clip recently, I say recently, it was a year ago, a bit more maybe, where Oscar De La Hoya was asked by a member of a crowd at a boxing event whether Ryan Garcia could beat Tank Davis. It might have been a bit more than a year ago, actually. And he said, no, Tank's a beast. And a lot of people are using that to say, listen, Ryan doesn't really want the fight. Well, apart from the fact that there's been development since that time, I also want to explain one thing. Oscar De La Hoya recently was saying that he wanted to sell Golden Boy and he was looking for $500 million. So whilst a lot of people are considering the long-term impact of Ryan Garcia potentially losing to Tank, and people will be thinking, well, listen, imagine that. Where would the cash cow be? They'd have to build up Munguia, which they're trying to do, but it would be a bitter blow to Golden Boy if he was to lose. If Ryan was to get absolutely obliterated, if it was a great fight, it could raise his stock. But if he gets obliterated and knocked out by Tank Davis, it could end up with him losing Twitter following, losing that reputation. A lot of people that maybe aren't into boxing that see him as this sort of superhero. He looks like the main actor, the main character in Cobra Kai, and he's appealing to a lot of these young girls. Maybe they'll jump off the bandwagon. So it could be a risk, right? But that's in the long term. If you were to imagine that Oscar De La Hoya is genuinely looking to sell Golden Boy, he needs to try and up the value of the company in the short term. He needs to be able to sell fights that are going to generate a lot of revenue regardless of the outcome of those fights. Because when prospective buyers are going to come in, they may not look at the existing talent pool and say, well, he just lost, so his value's fallen. They might just look at the last 12 to 18 months and say, right, how much did Golden Boy generate? So Oscar De La Hoya, to me, looks like he genuinely does want to make the fight. And the way Ryan Garcia is carrying himself and the things he's saying, he seems to genuinely want Tank Davis. This isn't a one-off call out where, he's trying to just, catch onto the tails of Tank and hoping that he could just, through association, build up his own stock. He's already got quite a considerable stock and he's looking to build that, of course, but this seems like a fight he genuinely wants and genuinely believes he can win. And he wants it at 140. Now, my view on this. If he genuinely cannot make 135 anymore, Tank has fought at 140. He's comfortable at 140. The only argument that could be made to force Ryan Garcia, if he's no longer able to fight at 135 comfortably, is that he ultimately wants to drain him, which means Tank would want to fight a weakened version of Ryan. If you want both guys to be at their best, then the fight should happen at 140 pounds. So what is the obstacle if Ryan Garcia really wants it? Tank Davis is saying he really wants it, and you know Oscar wants it. The only person so far that's been somewhat of an obstacle in all of this seems to be Floyd Mayweather. Floyd told FightHype.com that Ryan Garcia really wants this fight with Tank. So if you really want to take this fight with Tank, sacrifice Oscar. We can make the fight happen. You're hearing it here first at Fight Hype. 135 pound is the weight class. Tank is the A side. So think about the obstacles that Floyd's already putting out there. He's already starting with the you have to cross the street narrative. What's that all about? Then he's trying to impose the 135 limit. Tank the A side, I kind of get that. Maybe it should be a 50-50 fight, but Ryan Garcia apparently sold 10,000 tickets this weekend. Tank is the bigger seller of the two. So while Ryan Garcia is a massive star at sort of social media level, as a boxer in terms of A side, I totally understand why Tank would fancy the A side. Maybe give him 55%, maybe 60%. Fine, I agree with that part. But the other obstacles are starting to look a little bit insurmountable. You're saying that it has to be at 135 the moment Ryan mentions 140. If Ryan can't make 140, even though we know Tank is happy to fight at 140, rather than fight the best at 135, because let's face it, Tank hasn't fought any of the top guys at 135 pounds. Rather than do that, he opted to take fights at 140. He loves to make out that Barrios was a legitimate test at 140 pounds. So if you're comfortable beating a legitimate test, one of the top supposed fighters at that weight category, then why would you have a problem fighting Ryan Garcia at 140 pounds? With regards to having to cross the street, let's just remember that Tank Davis was recently talking about leaving Floyd Mayweather as a promoter. Why? Because he felt as though he wanted bigger opportunities. So if Tank Davis decides to stay with Floyd Mayweather, and as a result of that, he continues not to get big fights, I'm going to have to start saying that this isn't a case of them keeping him on a leash. Because that's been my view up to now. Tank's hugely talented, supremely talented. He may very well beat all of the top guys at lightweight. It's not impossible at all. He's got talent. He's a quality fighter. But they've kept him on a leash. They've not given him the opportunities. Well, now you've got the opportunity to seize that opportunity yourself, to grasp it, to seize the day. Carpe diem. If you don't do it, isn't it you that's putting this leash around your own throat? Isn't it you that's saying, I'm a dog, but I want to be on the leash and I want my owner to hold me back? Isn't that what we're talking about here? In other words, the ball is in Tank Davis's court. So the only possible obstacle, this cross the street rubbish, and my promoter won't deal with your promoter, well, you have the opportunity to leave your promoter with your contract coming to an end. So if there's anybody who would have to supposedly cross the street, or at least be a free agent, it would be Tank Davis. So let me know what you think about this. If this fight does not happen, why? I don't want to hear, oh, the promotional teams can't agree it, because we've just explained that Tank has an out. And if he demands it from Floyd, what can Floyd do? You make the fight, Floyd. I want it. You're my client. I'm hiring you, essentially. I want the fight against Ryan Garcia. You know, you look at Tank's resume. He's not fought Teofimo Lopez. He's not fought Devin Haney. He's not fought Kambosos, Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia, Comey, Nakatani. The guys at the top of the division at lightweight with the best resumes, he's not fought. He's not fought the guys with the best resumes at 140 either. So what are we doing over here? He has to demand that he gets these opportunities to prove that he is who he says he is. Otherwise, he's going to end up retiring, and what is his legacy going to actually say? I understand he's got a fan base. I understand he's making a lot of money. But if this fight doesn't happen, to me, it will look like a duck from Tank Davis. Let me know what you think, ladies and gents, regardless of who you think is going to win the fight. If this fight does not occur, who do you think's at fault? Thanks for watching, everyone. Chat to you soon. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, and notifications button. And remember, we will be bringing one new video every day this week. So keep checking back at the channel. Take care. God bless.